Hey guys, good evening or good night or hello, whenever you're watching, depending. Um, Today's topic is gonna be a bit more pessimistic, maybe, or not that like happy or shiny as all my other topics. But as you know, I always try to be honest with you, even if the topic is not really good or nice, because I think it's the best way forward, and that's what we also do in Move to Prague. When we work with clients, we tell them the things the way they are. We don't try to like sugarcoat it because it helps no one in the long run. So today's topic will be like that. We'll be talking about the rental market, and I will actually try to start a poll on Facebook where you can interact. No, but it's the first time I've done that, or I'm doing that. No, this is a comment. Poll. Yes. Woo. Okay, so you can vote in the poll. I don't know how it works, but please do. And yeah, I think there are a couple reasons for that, or to back up my opinion about Prague real estate market, rental market now. I'll tell you a bit more about that and how that all happened, because it's not something that happened overnight. That's something which has been like created, or it has been created or whatever. It's not something that happened overnight, but it's something that's been here for a longer time, and it has some reasons. So I'll go into that a bit deeper, and yeah, hopefully I'll explain it to you. I'm not sure if we'll be able to do something about that, but I think it's important for people moving to Prague to know what they will be facing and why is that so, because it makes no sense to pretend that everything is going great here and then people arrive and see the real reality of that. So let's jump into that. Let's face it, we are in a real estate or rental market crisis. Obviously not for landlords and owners of apartments, that's like a heaven for them now. But for people looking for apartments, this is a nightmare now, what's happening in Prague. And as I mentioned, it hasn't happened, or it didn't happen overnight. It's been growing, the problem has been growing and growing and growing, but unfortunately, no one has been really solving it. And it just like got to the point where we are now, that the prices are high and everything is like very difficult, or it's very difficult to find a flat as a tenant right now. So, how it all started, or it actually started many years ago when Prague started being more and more popular, and more people started moving here. But there were not more and more people, more and more flats being built. It has also many reasons, but one of the main reasons is that it takes many years, or it can take many years, like even 8, 9, 10 years to get all the permits to build something in the Czech Republic. So if you're a developer and you found some like area where you want to build like a huge family house, a huge like apartment building complex, and you want to offer like even thousands of apartments or hundreds of apartments to people, then you sometimes need to like fight with the bureaucracy for like 10 years to get all the permissions to build. And if you know that the apartments are needed now, but you have to start building like 10 years from now, it's not really good. So that's one of the problems. There are many problems, many more problems, like which helped create this situation. But the thing is that there are more people moving to Prague, more and more, and there are not really less and less available apartments, but the supply of apartments definitely is not meeting the required amount of apartments. So that's one thing. And what it means is that the prices, the selling prices or buying prices, are going up. Now we're seeing apartments which are being sold for over 150,000 or even more per square meter. It's like 6,000 euros or $6,500 for 1 square meter. I don't know in foot or feet. I've never done the conversion, but one fucking square meter for 150,000 crowns, like $6,500 US. That's crazy. So if you want to buy a studio for like with 30 square meters, So that would be like 150, 1.5 million, 4.5 million crowns to buy an apartment. And also mortgages are getting more expensive. So if you combine this, that you have like crazy expensive apartments and you have crazy expensive, maybe not that crazy yet, but like expensive mortgages, then it also increases the monthly rent you want from your tenants, because you know that you need to pay the mortgage because you spend a lot of money to buy even like a small studio apartment. Another thing is that there is a short supply, so you know that you can rent even apartment which like for the price which would never work like even 5 years ago or 3 years ago, 2 years ago, sometimes even like 1 or 2 years ago. You know that this price would not work, but you know that you will rent the apartment now for this amount of money. And actually, it's not here on Facebook, but on YouTube I called the video 1,000 US dollars for a studio in Prague. And that's not a sci-fi, like 10 years ago when we started the business with Daria, when we started Move to Prague, we actually started with flat search. And at that time, I remember that we were easily finding studios for 8,000 crowns a month, 9,000 crowns a month. Now studios start at 15,000 crowns. Like, of course, you can get lucky, and especially if you choose some like further away location and like one of the old like communist panel concrete apartments, you might still get lucky and get something for 12,000 crowns or something like that. Not saying that it's completely like unrealistic, but it's not something you should expect. Like realistically, if you're looking for a studio, it's like 15,000 crowns minimum. But 17, 18, 19 is still kind of like a standard in some locations. And I've seen apartments, like studio apartments, being advertised for 25,000 crowns, sometimes not even including utilities. So we are now talking about like 1,000 US dollars or even more for a studio apartment, which is crazy. It's like 3 times more than 10 years ago. Not saying that there is a huge demand for that everyone would want such an apartment, but I'm very positive that people will rent it for that amount of money. Because if you have nowhere to live and you can pay such money, if you're not making 25,000 crowns a month, then obviously you will not rent it. But if you are, and you're just looking for something cheaper because you want to save some money, but you can afford it, then you will rent it. So unfortunately, it's like this. It's crazy, and it also brings other problems because, for example, the demand for apartment is so high that we are in the business of rentals, and we also work with real estate agents, and we look for apartments for our clients as well. And whatever apartment you see online, there are hundreds of people replying. The real estate agents receive like hundreds of messages every day. And some of them told me, they would probably not say it on camera like this, but some of them told me that they don't even read all the messages. They don't open all the emails. They just randomly choose some and reply to those. Because if you receive like 200 emails, 200 replies to an apartment, you don't really need to open them all. You open the first 50. Out of that, you'll arrange like 30 viewings, and out of 30 people, you'll definitely find someone. So there is no point in, in opening all the emails, replying to all the inquiries, because it's just waste of time. You will find someone to rent the apartment, and not one person, but like tens of people within a couple hours from the first like 50 answers. So that happens, that you will not even if you send an email or a reply to an inquiry of an apartment, the real estate agents might not get back to you at all. Even if you call them, they might not answer the phone. Or even if you reach them and they promise you to get back to you with some appointment date for a viewing, it might not happen, because they just don't need that. They have so many people interested that they don't care about one more. Or even if they cared, they just don't have the capacity to reply to everyone, because they have such a huge demand. So That's how the situation is. And now I'm bringing you, for those who are staying with me this late at night, I have something, and that's 5+1 tips on how to deal with the rental crisis in the Czech Republic. So I'll go through that in a second. Thank you for staying with me. Hopefully these tips will be useful. So let's go into that. So 5+1 tips on how to deal with the rental crisis as a tenant looking for an apartment in Prague. Number one, be realistic. That means that you should not expect to find something like some miracle to happen. You know, that you find an apartment, like a studio apartment for 10,000 crowns in Prague. One, you should be realistic, because if you're realistic, then you have more options than if you're looking for like for magical castles or magical things to happen. Number two, be flexible, both in terms of your requirements. So if you set a budget of 15,000 crowns, if you are able to increase it to 17, you definitely increase your chances. If you want to live in Prague too, but you know that realistically you're not finding anything in Prague too, be ready to expand the radius. But also, not only the requirements, but be also flexible with viewings. Because if you can only go see apartments like after 5 o'clock when you finish at work, you are limiting yourself to a very small amount of viewings, because some landlords prefer doing viewings during the lunchtime, in the morning maybe. But if you limit yourself from this perspective, you're losing a lot. Number three, say yes to everything you like, at least a bit. Because the thing is that even if you say yes to an apartment, it doesn't mean that the landlord will choose you. So instead of saying, okay, this was not completely perfect, let's wait for some more and get back to this later, you will never get back to it, because it will be gone the next day. Apartments are really gone next day these times. So if you like the apartment at least a bit, say yes, and then you'll see. And still keep going to viewings. Even if you said yes to something, doesn't mean that you should stop viewing apartments, because A, the landlord doesn't have to choose you, even though you chose the apartment. Second, there might be problem with the apartment and with the real estate, with the rental contract, with the lease agreement, because we've seen it a lot. Because now, since there are not that many available apartments, people kind of, for example, reconstruct the attic space, or they reconstruct a cellar and they make it into an apartment, but officially it's not an apartment. Officially, you cannot live there. And if you're an EU citizen, doesn't really matter, because you don't really need it for any like official paperwork. But if you're a non-EU citizen and you need the lease agreement for your visa, this is a very important part of that. So yes, have backup options. Number four would be, still, even like despite everything I said, don't let yourself manipulate into a deal before you read the lease agreement and before you check everything, especially the ownership part and the part where you see if the apartment is really an apartment. Because as I explained, if you're a non-EU citizen and you sign a lease with, for example, for example, so-called atelier, which can look exactly as an apartment, but technically or officially it's not an apartment, then you get yourself into trouble, because you have an apartment you have to pay, but you cannot use it for your visa processes, and you need to find some like other solution, either move or pay someone to get you the virtual proof of accommodation, or I don't know. So unnecessary trouble and stress. Okay, number five. No, what was it? Realistic, flexible, say yes to everything, backup options. Okay, number five, do not let yourself manipulate into anything. And the plus one would be, now more than ever, it's worth using a professional assistance. So, for example, in Move to Prague relocation services, we offer our assistants with finding a flat in Prague, and we make sure that everything, if you sign the lease, that everything will be in accordance to the damn, it's so late for me. My brain is already like leaving for a vacation. Yeah, so we make sure that everything is fine with the lease, that you can use it for any immigration purposes, that everything is all right with the owner, that the flat is really a flat, that you don't face any trouble with the društvo housing cooperative or whatever. So if you need any help with apartment search, get in touch with us at Move to Prague. We'll be happy to help. You just need to count still that even with our help, it still is complicated, because using us will not change the market. It will make it a bit easier for you because you can leverage our knowledge and experience and contacts, because we've been in the business for 10 years. So we have contacts with plenty of landlords and plenty of real estate agents, and we can negotiate some deals with them, but still it will not be easy. Okay, so let's sum it up. So I can use this on my other social media as well, on TikTok and YouTube Shorts and Facebook and Instagram. So 5+1 tips on surviving or dealing with the rental market crisis in the Czech Republic. Number 1, be realistic. Number 2, be flexible, both in terms of your requirements and viewings. Number 3, say yes to everything you like at least a bit. Number 4, always have backup options, because even if you say yes to something, then it doesn't mean that the landlord will choose you. So always continue visiting apartments. Number 5, despite everything I said, don't let yourself manipulate into a deal or into signing anything before you saw the lease agreement and before you checked it. Because it can save you a lot of trouble with your visas, for example. And the +1, the number 6, would be using a professional assistant, because especially if you are under pressure, which now you are, anytime you're looking for a flat now, you are under pressure, because you need to compete million other tenants, and the flats go like this, so you need to make decisions quick. But don't let yourself manipulate into something you don't want to sign. And that's where we can help you. We can make sure that everything you sign is correct and that everything will go well. Yeah, so that was it. So thank you guys for watching. Let me see, there is some question. Yeah, TBX Studios on YouTube. Thank you so much with your videos. I have a question, so please go ahead. I'll wait for you and I'll be happy to answer a question. If you guys on Facebook have questions as well, let me see if I can see some comments here, because I don't see any comments. So I guess there are none, but maybe there were some. So let me see. But anyway, I will share a link to the service we provide in this regards in the comments. So come back later, maybe tomorrow, because I will need to do it, and I'll probably not do it today. But I'll share a link. I might share a link with some extra tips. Okay, Abdallah Bero has a question, so I'll answer that. And TBX Studios, please ask the question as well, so I can answer it too. So Abdallah Bero on YouTube. I'm a non-EU citizen in the Middle East, fluent English, MBA finance. Do I have a chance to find a job? Well, it depends. Generally, yes, if you speak English, if you have MBA, or if you have some experience, generally, yes, you have a chance to find a job here. Also, before the refugee crisis, when we now accepted like 400,000 people, there was a huge demand for foreign workers in the Czech Republic, because there were like 300,000 like jobs available which could not be filled using Czech citizens or EU citizens. So you had very high chances. On the other hand, the government is making it complicated for everyone to move to the Czech Republic. So the thing is that you will first need to find a job, and the job must be ready to sponsor you for an employee card or a blue card. And then even in that case, there is still no guarantee that you will ever get the employee card, because there is no guarantee you will ever get an appointment. I'm active on Facebook very much and other platforms, and people on YouTube are actually very active with comments and everything. So I've heard it like a million times in the last couple of weeks that hey, I got an employment contract from a Czech employer, but I cannot get an appointment at some Czech embassy in Dubai, or like in United Arab Emirates, or in some other countries, in India. I cannot get an appointment. Yeah, that's how it is, because there are quotas for how many people can apply. In India, for example, no one can apply for an employee card if your employer is not part of a special program. So if you find a job but your employer is not registered into special programs in like for economic migration from India, then you will never get an appointment for an employee card. So you can never get an employee card. So unfortunately, this is how it is. And in some other embassies, or in many other embassies, there are quotas as well. In some, that are very, very low. In some, that are slightly higher. But for example, in India, for the programs for employers, there are still only like 700 spots. So even if your employer is registered in one of the programs, you will be competing for 700 spots with 1.5 billion people. So anyway, it's not easy to, so like finding a job might be actually the lesser problem than actually get into the Czech Republic using that job. So that would probably be my my answer to that question. As I mentioned, I'm honest. So yeah, but TBX Studios doesn't seem to have any question at the end. So let's see on Facebook. There was something there as well. Bernemora Escobar. Hi, I will be moving to Prague in a couple of months. I need a proof of accommodation and then renting an apartment. How can I contact you? Well, the best would be if you're on Facebook, just send me a text message. I don't always have time to answer everyone personally, even though I would like that. It's just I receive tens of messages every day on Facebook, then on Instagram, on TikTok as well, and comments on YouTube. So it's not in my capabilities to reply all of you, but I at least can send you a form which you fill in, and one of our team at Move to Prague will get in touch. So definitely send me a message on Facebook. I will send you a link to a form which you can fill in, and we'll get back to you as soon as possible. One thing I would like to mention, we don't really provide the virtual proof of accommodation because it's technically a fraud. And if the ministry finds out, they can deny your application. Plus, we could have a trouble. We could get in trouble for providing that. And also the landlord signing the virtual proof of accommodation could even go to jail for like supporting illegal migration, because the point of the proof of accommodation, whatever, however stupid, it's stupid requirement. You're not here. The visa process can take like up to 1 year, and you still need to have accommodation arranged. That's stupid, but that's how it is. And if you buy the virtual proof of accommodation, you don't have where to live, but you pretend that you have. And if the ministry finds out, that can be considered a fraud, and that can also be considered like helping illegal immigrants to get to the Czech Republic from the perspective of the landlord. So all the sides involved can get in trouble. So I don't really recommend using that unless that's a very last resort, and we don't provide the service. But once you are in the Czech Republic physically and you're looking for a real apartment to live, we'll be happy to help with that. So TBX Studios, let's say, okay, I like these questions. Abdallah Bero, thank you very much, Jan. My pleasure, cool boy, sir. I have. Okay, maybe we'll get to what you have, cool boy. But TBX Studios, let's say one gets a proof of accommodation document for the sake of visa processing with no actual accommodation yet in the Czech Republic, with the aim of getting an apartment only when one gets to the Czech Republic. Question number one, how does one get a temporary apartment that they can stay when he lands in Czech Republic? Well, I will reply to this first question first, and then I'll get to the number one. Depends on your budget, I would say, because like renting an apartment for a short period of time is not really common in the Czech Republic. Czechs don't really, maybe if you go for a weekend to like mountains, okay, you can rent a cottage there, but it's not a common thing to rent an apartment for 2 or 3 weeks. So There are not that many options for that, and those which are available are very expensive, like from Czech perspective. So if you have the money for that, if you have the budget for that, there are options for short-term rentals of apartments, and you can do that. Many companies do that. We work also not only with private clients, but also with companies like corporate clients, and they have no problem paying like 50,000 crowns for a month for an apartment, like a studio apartment for short-term rental. For companies, it doesn't matter. So if you have this kind of budget, then there will be no problem with you finding a short-term accommodation. Second, of course, you can use a hotel or Airbnb and live there for the period of time you will be looking for a real apartment. Generally, I would recommend you to book an apartment for at least 2 to 3 weeks minimum to be able to find some long-term option in the Czech Republic now or in Prague now, because it's very difficult. And if we were advising people 10 years ago to book a hotel for 3 days, and we were able to find an apartment, sign a lease, and get them moved in within 3 days. Now this is a fairy tale story. So now if you book a hotel or Airbnb for at least 2-3 weeks, you might have a chance to find the place to live for long term. So that would probably be my advice for that. If you don't have a budget for that, or if you don't want to book an Airbnb or a hotel, I honestly have no advice. Probably come in summer and like you can stay outside probably, but unfortunately that's how it is. Question number 2: how does one change the proof of accommodation address to the actual address of the temporary apartment? Well, yes, if you're lucky enough, or if you bought it from someone, the virtual proof of accommodation, I mean, from someone reliable, and the ministry doesn't find out it's a virtual proof of accommodation, basically a fake document, and if you get approved, then and you find a new address, you should definitely finish all the processes using the virtual address. Because after you get approved, you need to come to the Czech Republic and go to the foreign police to register your stay, and maybe go to the Ministry of the Interior to give your fingerprints and all this. So definitely you should finish everything under the virtual address, because changing the address like right after you arrive and before you go to the foreign police and everything, that would be very, very complicated, and I don't really recommend it. So definitely finish everything with the old address. And then once you're finished, you have the employee card issued, you have the actual card, which usually takes like 3 weeks to get, or you have the visa in your passport, you've registered with the foreign police. If you've done all these things, then, and you find a new accommodation, you have 30 days after you sign the lease or after the lease starts to go to the Ministry of the Interior and report the change of address. I believe I did another video or live stream about this. So if you go to my YouTube channel, you subscribe and you scroll through all the videos, or just filter or whatever, search for the one, you'll find it. It's, I believe, reporting changes to the MOI. Then you just go there, you show your new lease agreement, and you fill in a form, and they change it on the spot. So that's pretty easy actually to change the address once you are here and once you find a new address. But I would definitely recommend doing it only after you finish all the official visa related paperwork. And I'll get to you, cool boy, in a second. Let's just now answer the third question of TBX Studios. Is proof of accommodation legal? I mean, if they ask during visa interview, how does one answer that? Yes, I mentioned it's not completely legal. It's basically a fake document, because you say, I will be living on this address, even though you know that you will not be living at the address. So definitely don't say this is a virtual proof, I will not be living there. Because then they would kind of definitely deny your application. So you need to, for the visa interview, if they ask you, you need to pretend that this is the address where you live, or where you will live after you arrive to the Czech Republic. You should also know something about the apartment, like roughly how much you would be paying for rent there, where the flat is located, how far it is from your job, all these things. But definitely don't tell them that it's a virtual address, because that would not be good. it's kind of on the border of legal and illegal. Like, obviously, if you're an Indian, you're staying in India or like in any African country or even like South America, if you're staying there, you cannot come to the Czech Republic physically to look for an apartment. And even if you could, then it makes no sense to rent an apartment where you will not be living for 6 months or so during the approval process and everything. So it makes no sense from the ministry to want a proof of accommodation from you, like a real lease agreement, but they still do. So you kind of need to play that game. The problem with the proof of accommodation is that if you get it from someone unreliable, which you cannot find out in advance, then what can also happen is that they, for example, have sold the same address to 200 other people. So in a studio, there are 200 people registered already at the Ministry of the Interior, and that will start raising flags, and they will start investigating that. So, but you cannot really check that in advance. Even us, we cannot check it because there is no official database of that other than the Ministry of the Interior. So, yeah. Okay, so thank you, TBX Studios. If I book for 2-3 weeks, do I need to update the address with Department of Police? Now, if you just book like a temporary address in a hotel or something, don't bother. First, they will need to report it themselves, like accommodation facilities like hotels or hostels or good Airbnbs have to report this to the foreign police themselves, so they will do it. But second, if it's a short-term accommodation, doesn't matter. You can still say, hey, I will be living here, but maybe the apartment is not ready yet or something. So don't worry about it. So, cool boy. As I asked you before, also my workplace is Brno and I live in Prague. Will that be an issue if someone complain me? Like if it was during your approval process, then yes, they could have questions about that, like how are you going to travel from Brno to Prague or from Prague to Brno to work? You know, if you live officially in Brno but your workplace is in Prague, how will you travel like 7 hours every day? You know, 3 hours there and 3 hours back or something. So that would be a problem for the approval process. Now, I believe we discussed this the last time or like on messages or something, that now if you are approved and you have the employee card in your possession and then your workplace is Brno, you live in Prague, I don't think it will raise too many questions. Maybe when you're extending, they could ask you about that. But again, if you have this in your leasing employment contract, saying your employer is allowing you to work from other places, then it's kind of fine if you can work kind of online. Then, of course, they could question if you really need to be in the Czech Republic and if you really need the employee card, if you anyway work from a like distant place. So if you could not work from your home country and if they will not try to deny the application. But it depends also. If you, for example, don't report it, which I'm not officially, of course, recommending, but if you don't report it, the ministry has no chance of finding out where you actually live. So there are many like different possible scenarios. So we would need to probably arrange a consultation to go through that in details. So if you want to do that, get in touch and I'll be happy to send you the description of the service and pricing, and we can discuss in detail so you know what to do exactly. Satpal Rawat, hi, thank you very much for joining. Gabriel Ospinoza Diaz, hi Jan, I'm from Peru, non-EU country. Thank you. And I'm going to Germany this year looking for a job visa, no as a tourist. Is it possible to start Živno visa as a B plan while I'm in Germany? Well, the Živno visa, business visa, freelancer visa, self-employed visa, however we call it, it's not the easiest way to get in the Czech Republic unless you're an English teacher and you plan on teaching English. Then it's easy still. But if your business is something else, because for the business visa, you need to prove that your business is related to the Czech Republic, that you have a reason to be in the Czech Republic to run the business. So if you don't really have any clients in the Czech Republic, or you don't really have any business plan for the Czech Republic, then it will be very difficult to get the visa approved. So this would probably be of course, it can be a B plan. It's fine. You can have, technically, you can have visas or residence permits in more EU countries. It should be different types, and they should not like contradict each other. Like, you should not probably have like a permanent residence in Czech Republic and permanent residence in Germany, because you cannot permanently live in both the countries at the same time. Having like an employee card or blue card in two countries as well would be kind of strange too. So it depends, but technically it's possible. So you can have the Živno visa or business visa as a plan B, but to be able to get it, you will need to very undoubtedly prove that you have a reason to be in the Czech Republic, that your business is related to the Czech Republic, and that it's real. And that's usually kind of complicated. So TBX Studios, I pray my visa gets approved. I can wait to meet you. I owe you a cup of good coffee. You're indeed a lifesaver. Thank you very much. Happy to hear that. In case you're approved and you want to stand to your word, I like the filtered coffee from Starbucks. It's actually like 2 minutes walking from our office. So bring that and we're even. So fingers crossed for you. Hopefully you get approved soon. Sai. Jan, by your suggestion, I got my visa approved. So which insurance should I buy? Thank you so much. Okay, that's great. Great to help. Great to help. It's great to help. That's great as well. But it's great to hear that you get approved because of or thanks to some of my suggestions. So thank you. Happy to hear that. Which insurance you should buy? You basically don't have any options. Like, generally or technically, for a short-term visa, depends on what you got approved. Okay, if you got approved, for example, an employee card or a blue card or generally a residence permit, the residence card, plastic biometric card, then you can buy just a short-term insurance, and that can be emergency care. So like the very basic one. In that case, I would recommend Maxima. We can do it for you, or you can do it online. And for 2 months, it's very cheap. It doesn't cover much, just cases of emergency, but it will work. If you got approved a long-term visa, or if you need to buy a health insurance for a full year or something, then you need to buy a comprehensive coverage. And unfortunately, that can only be sold by one health insurance company, so-called PVZP, which is a daughter company of the public health insurance provider VZP, and you cannot choose. So you just need to go with them and pay whatever they offer. We can help you with that as well. We can get you the health insurance as well, but we cannot get any discounts from them or anything because they have monopoly. They're the only company on the market allowed to sell this insurance, so they don't give any discounts or anything. Ashi Gurjar or Gurjar, sorry if I'm not pronouncing it correctly. Hello, sir. I live in the Czech Republic and I just got an offer from UK. So do I need to go back to my country to apply to the UK work visa, or can I apply it from the Czech Republic itself? Well, a couple things here. First, I have no idea about the UK immigration. I'm specialized in the Czech Republic immigration, and believe me, if I say that it's enough, because everything changes and it's different for different nationalities. So I don't even want to learn anything about British immigration. Second thing is, there were some rules when Britain was part of the EU, but they are no longer part of the EU. So I have no idea what the rules are now anyway. And third, generally, yes, you can apply, for example, for a Czech visa. So if we say it's the same for Britain, but as I said, I'm not sure about that. But if it was the same, you can apply for a Czech visa or Czech residence permit from the country of your origin, or from the country where you hold a long-term or permanent residence permit. So if you have a long-term residence permit or permanent residence permit in the Czech Republic, you could technically apply for a UK visa through the UK like British embassy in the Czech Republic. But as I'm only like immigration advisor for coming to the Czech Republic, not really going out to other countries, then I would definitely recommend getting in touch with the embassy directly and verify with them. Maybe send them like a scan of your residence card and ask if that's how we do it. If we want to find out if some person living somewhere else than in the home country, if they can apply at the embassy, we always send the residence card or the visa to the particular Czech embassy and ask them directly. Gabriel Espinosa Diaz, thanks, Jan. My pleasure. Sai, my long-term student study visa approved from India within 48 hours after second interview. Your suggestions are best for students. Thank you very much. Happy to hear that. So if you're happy, please recommend me. Please recommend Move to Prague. Share my videos, share my Facebook group, and share my TikTok and Instagram and everything. If you find this useful, that's something you can do for me in return. So thank you very much for that. And yes, student visa. In that case, you will need the insurance covering your whole stay, and in that case, you don't really have other options than the PVZP one. Gabriel, is easier to contact you by mail or Facebook? Easier probably Facebook, but if you want to get some reply, that's easier, or it's definitely better via email, because on Facebook it's only me, and I don't always have the capacity to reply to everyone. If you go directly to movetoprague.com and fill in one of the forms, or if you send us an email directly to info@movetoprague.com, for example, or any other email we use, either me or one of my colleagues will always get in touch. I'm doing it already, sharing everything. Thank you very much, Sai. It's great. It's great, and I appreciate it, because I started with obviously with 0 followers and 0 experience with social media and anything, and now I'm on the numbers I am. Almost 700 subscribers here and 2,500 on TikTok. Almost no one on Instagram. Yeah, so, and it's all because I hopefully provide a good content and useful and valuable. So I'm happy that you confirmed that. And that's also because people share it. So thank you very much. Ashi Gurjar, how lengthy process of change of employer in the first 2 years of Blue Card? I'm eagerly waiting to meet you and Zuzana. Okay, that's Sai again. Okay, we'll be happy to meet you as well. Let us know in advance. With Zuzana might be complicated because Zuzana is not always in the office, but I'm always there. So with me it will be easier. Change of employer with the Blue Card. Well, the thing is that for the Blue Card, within the first 2 years, you have to ask for approval. So with the employee card, for example, you don't ask for approval. You just submit all the documents they want to see, and they send you a letter within 30 days saying, okay, you submitted everything, you can change employer. But for the Blue Card, for whatever reason, there is still an approval process. So they officially should make the decision fast, but it can take forever. It can be as fast as 2 weeks, but it can take as long as 3 months or whatever. So unfortunately, you never know, because this is the disadvantage of the approval, that they can take as long as they want. On the other hand, for example, if you have the employee card and you don't submit all the documents, they will just, there is no appeal, nothing. You just lost your chance and you might be deported and go home. With the Blue Card, since there is an approval process, if they don't like something, you're not denied immediately, but they have to send you a letter and request some additional documents and everything. So it's actually safer. So like this. What are the steps? Yeah, the first, just briefly, I might do another live stream about that, because I've been here for 44 minutes already. So it's quite long, and it's already after midnight. So I'll probably go sleep soon. But generally, changing employer, you first need to find a new employer. They need to advertise the position with the labor office to get the special number, and then you send all the documents to the Ministry of the Interior. So the new employment contract, the vacancy number, filled in application form, all that. and then you wait. Without telling your employer, well, that's up to you if you want to tell them or not. And it's also about the new employer, because if you don't tell your employer that you want to change, then once you're approved, you will need to give a leave-in notice, which is usually 2 months from the next month, starting like from the next month. So if you give a leave-in notice today, it will start from the 1st of July and then 2 months. So if you don't tell your current employer, which I understand because you don't want to create a tension before you get approved, for example, but if you don't tell them and then you get approved, the new employer will still need to wait for you like 2-3 months. So that's a question. You have to be open to someone, either to your old employer saying, hey, I want to leave. Sometimes they erase your salary or something and they convince you to stay. So that might be a good thing, actually. Sometimes don't, but at least you're in the process, or you don't tell your current employer, but you need to tell your new employer, hey, I didn't tell them, so I'm not in the leave-in notice yet, and once I'm approved, you will need to wait for me for another 2 months. Are you okay with it? If they are, everything is fine. So hopefully that was helpful. Can I do 2 jobs on 1 employee card? MSMS. MSMS. Yeah, you can, if you get it approved by the Ministry of the Interior. You cannot really have 2 full-time jobs, because you would need to be full-time job is 40 hours a week. 2 full-time jobs would be 80 hours a week. In theory, you might be able to do that if one job was like during the day and one job was like during night, maybe. Or if you were working like the short and long week, as we call it, like that 1 week you would be only working like Wednesday and Thursday for one employer, and then the rest of the days for the other one, and then vice versa. So technically it might be possible, but usually how it works is that you can have, for example, 2 part-time jobs at the same time under the same employee card. That's possible, but you need to get it approved by the ministry. So let's say if you have 1 full-time job with the company now, you want to keep it, and then you want to add 1 more job as a part-time, for example, then you first need to ask the ministry for approval, and only once they approved, you can add the new job. Okay, guys, thank you very much. This was great again. You have so many questions, and it creates a nice flow, and I have something to talk about, and I can actually use the content for my social media as well. So thank you very much for that. Thank you very much for being with me so late. CB Gurung, thank you very much for the likes and for everything, for following me. It was nice seeing you all, guys, and see you again on Thursday, and then again on Monday and Thursday and Monday and everything, as you know already. Sai, thank you. Thanks to you, and keep on posting. I will. Thank you very much. If you keep following me and you share everything and you recommend me, then it's perfect. And thank you. Thank you, TBX Studios. Thank you as well. Gabriel, we really appreciate it. Thank you very much. Happy to hear that. Bye-bye, guys. You rock, sir. Thank you very much, TBX. Wish you all good luck with your visa applications, ongoing ones, and those of you who were approved. Happy to hear that. Feel free to stop by in our office. It's better to let us know in advance, but we'll be happy to see you and have a coffee with you. And for those of you who cannot stop by in the office yet, what I wanted to say. For those of you who cannot yet, wish you good luck, and hopefully see you again on Thursday or Monday, and Thursday and Monday. So thank you very much, guys. Bernie Mora Escobar, thank you as well. And good night, and see you soon. Bye-bye, guys. Thank you.